Good evening, folks. I wanted to bring y'all this. Hopefully, they don't say too many of them F words in there. Y'all know the one. We're talking about choosing fudge. Well, Senator Rand Paul, he nailed it. He says this is how he had seemed like the right question, the right answer, and this is how we deal with election fudge. And that's the best way I could say it. Hopefully, because he says this in the article, they're not going to hold it against me. But he had an interview. It was over on Facebook, but it's pretty interesting. Y'all check this out. A couple minutes long, but I cut it short from what seems to be most relevant to this report. Y'all check this out. This is what Rand Paul says about selection integrity and the future of the fudge.
And I think it's important, though, that we look at this and understand what courts are saying and not saying. The courts have not said there wasn't fraud. The courts just simply didn't rule on or hear from the fraud. I do think there's an important issue here, though. The fraud is one aspect of this, and I think courts have historically been reticent to get involved in elections and to look at fraud. But moving forward, we've got to change the rules or reevaluate our state rules in order that this doesn't happen again. We can't just sit by and say, oh, we're going to let it happen again. There is another important aspect to this, though, that is a legal aspect that I think does need to be heard by the courts, and I don't know if it can be heard beyond the election, but I think should. And this is the question of whether or not people who are non-legislators can change the election law. And this happened in many states. Probably 24 states decided to accept ballots after the election. 24 states decided they could mail out applications or mail out ballots, all without the will of the legislature. Do you think there's any hope for any of this being heard, Judge Starr, outside of the concept of changing the election? Is there any possibility any court's going to ever hear this and say that it was wrong that secretaries of state changed the law in the middle of this pandemic without the approval of the legislature? Or do you think there's no hope because it's mixed up in electoral politics? Judge Starr.
I think there is a possibility because this issue may return in light of this unprecedented use of mail-in ballots and the concern that is a bipartisan concern, again, the Carter-Baker Commission, that we need to look at these issues. And the Constitution is very clear that it is the prerogative of state legislatures to determine what these rules and laws are. And that was, I must say, flagrantly violated in Pennsylvania and perhaps elsewhere as well.
That's all I really wanted to put on that actual article. Turn that crap off. As Rand Paul, he had a lot to say today. That's actually a couple days old. That come off of somebody else's feed. But I just thought that was a very interesting topic. What are we going to do? Are we going to allow this to happen again? Is there anything we can do to stop it? Does anybody even care that they changed the rules last time at the last minute to do exactly what they wanted to do? I know y'all know what I'm saying. Shouldn't have to. Most people got to know what I'm talking about. I don't mean to talk so nonchalantly, but I'm trying to word this to where they don't hate on me no more than they already do. But that's really all I wanted to play on that video. It's just something I thought was important. It's a very good question. I'd like to hear the final answers to that. You can't get to the answer to the question if you don't ask the question. And I'm glad to see Rand Paul asking the questions. There's no doubt about what happened wasn't fair. It was not fair. And anybody that denies that, they're just drinking the Kool-Aid and they want their team to win. And that's all there is to that. There's the liars and the deniers, and that's about it. Everybody else knows the truth. It looks like 65 to 75% of the country now knows in their hearts this was beyond not fair. It was a lot of things, but fair was not one of them, and that's a fact. That's all my selection news of the day. I'm trying to tiptoe around that one at the moment. And the Dr. Frankenstein conversation, seems like every conversation we have over here on this channel, they don't like it much. But I don't care. That's why I'm here. I'm here to ruffle the feathers and get the information out by any means necessary, even if it means offending the YouTube, the CommieTube. Before I get off here, I just want to let y'all know one more thing that I've just come to mind. Twitter a couple days ago, Jack Dorsey, he stepped down as the boss, and I guess he's being such a, because of who he is, because he's right up there like Zuckerberg. Just most people can't stand him. Their stock actually went up, up to like 10 points, just in the fact that he said he was no longer going to run the company. And he's actually been, he was running the company at one time, and then he got off into another company called Square, and ended up being involved in the Bitcoin thing. And next thing you know, he's back on top, head of the company. A couple guys bailed out, and seems like Mr. Dorsey, he's obviously some of the brains over there that helped put that Twitter thing together. But he's got a bunch of little creepy dominions that work around him that are all part of the program. And as a matter of fact, the guy that he has put in to replace him as the head of Twitter for now, this Iranian guy. I don't know exactly where he's from. He's from somewhere over there in the sand. You can tell by his accent. But at any rate, this guy does not think that the First Amendment rights is anything that Twitter needs to be worried about. As a matter of fact, they've decided that they're going to change the whole new rule of Twitter and start censoring willy-nilly, and they're not going to allow people to share content. And you would think, well, maybe that's a good thing to protect certain people's rights. Well, maybe it is on a small portion, but in reality, this is about preventing the truth from being spread by small broadcasters such as myself. You know, I noticed that Facebook has done changed their name. I noticed that Amazon, leader of Amazon, he's trying to back out of his job as a CEO of Amazon a while back, and then now it looks like Jack Dorsey's doing the same thing. Are they trying to get out of lawsuits? Are they trying to clean up their public image? Are they trying to rebrand the name of their sewer over there? I don't know, but at any rate, there's definitely some things going on behind the scenes that all of the big tech oligarchs are starting to put subordinates to run their show. May have something to do with some of these lawsuits that we don't know so much about. May have to do with they're trying to distance themselves from the problem because they're fixing to be a problem again come 2022. It may be because they want somebody else to take the fall for their actions. You know, even though Mr. Dorsey may not be running the show anymore, he is still running the show no matter what. He didn't just step away from consensus of everything involved. He just probably renounced his title more than anything else. Give it to somebody else. Give somebody else the job of listening to him, probably. And so I don't think Jack Dorsey, anti-police Jack Dorsey, is ever going to hire anybody over there to work on that platform who is about free speech or America First or anything like that. I just don't believe it. That's a fact. So you get what you get when Dorsey puts somebody else in to replace him. You know it ain't good. That's all I really want to say about that. Like, subscribe, and share, Devoted Patriot. Over and out.